There is the man and his virtues. Men do what is called a good action as some piece of courage or charity, much as they would pay a fine in expiation of daily non-appearance on parade. Their works are done as an apology or extenuation of their living in the world, as invalids and the insane pay a high board. Their virtues are penances. I do not wish to expiate, but to live. And to expiate means to pay penance for guilt or sin. My life is for itself and not for a spectacle. I much prefer that it should be of a lower string, so it be genuine and equal, than that it should be glittering and unsteady. I wish it to be sound and sweet, and not to need diet and bleeding. I ask primary evidence that you are a man, and refuse this appeal from the man to his actions. I know that for myself it makes no difference whether I do or forbear those actions which are reckoned excellent. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have intrinsic right. I love that. I love that quote. Probably put it on my wall somewhere. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have an intrinsic right. I'll say it again, sorry, since I kind of messed that up. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have an intrinsic right. We're starting to put taxes on everything. There's rumor about taxation on water and air and all kinds of crazy things. Just because there's this greed, this profit motive, and everyone's still in this conquering Darwinian survival of the theory is the world is the survival of the fittest, the world is a business kind of mentality, people are starting to become proprietors of everything, walking, and like put their name of ownership on everything. They put the badge of ownership on us. We're basically indebted to a system that isn't even managing its own finances. We're being charged an interest on things, on stuff owned by banks and institutions that don't even have the funds to actually have paid to own such things, like owning land. All of it. My right to be, my right to live. I don't have to earn a living. I am alive. It's my intrinsic right. You can't vote away my rights. They're mine. I don't consent. That's what we need to get back to. That's what we need to do. I cannot consent to pay for a privilege where I have an intrinsic right. Few and mean as my gifts may be, I actually am, and do not need for my own assurance or the assurance of my fellows any secondary testimony. I don't need anyone else's seal of approval on what I do. I don't need to go out and pay $500,000 to a charity to seem like I'm a good person. I live my truth. I live as a good person. And I'm not going to conform to this money system that tells me what I need to do in order to be perceived a good person. We know in our nature what is good, and we've fallen away from that. What I must do is all that concerns me, not what people think. This rule, equally arduous in actual and in intellectual life, may serve for the whole distinction between greatness and meanness. It is the harder because you will always find those who think they know what is your duty better than you know it. It is easy in the world to live after the world's opinion. It is easy in solitude to live after our own. But the great man is he who in the midst of the crowd keeps with perfect sweetness the independence of solitude. So it's easy to be yourself in private, and when you go out you conform, whether you hang out with people that are drinking and partying all the time if you're young, or if you hang out with golf courses and watch the news just because you're older. But when you're at home you want to play games and be silly. Be silly out there around other people. Don't conform. Be yourself. Then we wouldn't have to have all these fake things in our culture and our society that we think is normal, but everybody's just putting up the same front because they're in public. The objection to conforming to usages that have become dead to you is that it scatters your force. It loses your time and blurs the impression of your character. If you maintain a dead church, contribute to a dead Bible society, vote with a vote with a great party, either for the government or against it. Spread your table like base housekeepers. Under all these screens, I have difficulty to detect the precise man you are. And of course, so much force is withdrawn from your proper life. But do your work, and I shall know you. Do your work, and you shall reinforce yourself. A man must consider what a blind man's buff is this game of conformity. If I know your sect, I anticipate your argument. I hear a preacher announce for his text and topic the expediency of one of the institutions of his church. Do I not know beforehand that not possibly can he say a new and spontaneous word? Do I not know that with all this ostentation of examining the grounds of the institution, he will do no such thing? Do I not know that he has pledged himself not to look at but one side, the permitted side, not as a man, but as a parish minister? He is a retained attorney, and these heirs of the bench are of the emptiest affectation. While most men have bound their eyes with one or another handkerchief and attached themselves to some one of these communities of opinion, this conformity makes them not false in a few particulars, authors of a few lies, but false in all particulars. Their every truth is not quite true. I'll say it again. Their every truth is not quite true. Their two is not the real two. Their four is not the real four. So that every word they say chagrins us, and we know not where to begin to set them right. Meantime, nature is not slow to equip us in the prison uniform of the party to which we adhere. We come to wear one cut of face and figure, and acquire by degrees the gentlest asinine expression. There is a mortifying experience in particular which does not fail to wreak itself also in the general history. I mean, the foolish face of praise, the forced smile, which we put on in company where we do not feel at ease, in answer to conversation which does not interest us. The muscles not spontaneously moved, but moved by a low, usurping willfulness, grow tight about the outline of the face with the most disagreeable sensation. He's talking about being phony and fake and acting like you're happy in groups and around people that don't make you happy, conversation that is not in alignment with your true nature and what you want to talk about, because we conform to be part of the group. For nonconformity, the world whips you with its displeasure, and therefore a man must know how to estimate a sour face. The bystanders look askance on him in the public street or in the friend's parlor. If this aversation had its origin in contempt and resistance like his own, he might well go home with a sad countenance. But the sour faces of the multitude, like their sweet faces, have no deep cause, but are put on and off as the wind blows and a newspaper directs. This is important. What he's saying is, don't worry so much about the people that are judging you, that have a sour face. He says you have to be able to estimate a sour face, just as you estimate a fake smile. He says that they're put on and put off with no deep cause, so let them fall away. Don't let it concern you. People right now, as you look around, they like what they're told to like. They do what they're told to do. They listen to what they're told to listen to. They watch what they're told to watch. You think you're not being told? How many people around you are watching Game of Thrones? How many people around you were saying that they were in love with that show, the zombie show, Walking Dead? You think that many people are interested in zombies? Then why weren't we watching zombies before this stuff came out? Why were you not wearing black lipstick before black lipstick became a thing? Why were you not wearing black nail polish and red lips before that became a thing? It's just ridiculous. Just like when certain clothing brands came out, or these certain types of sunglasses that you're wearing. Think about what you're doing. Do you really like it? Or are you doing it because you're told to do it? You're not being told directly, but you're following a media influence. You're following the influence of your peers. And that's why he says, don't worry too much when people judge you, or when people say, hey, they don't like what you're talking about. Because their sour faces, like their sweet ones, are put on and put off as the wind blows and the newspaper directs. Tomorrow someone could say you're popular, And then they all come flocking. It's not for them. You do it for yourself. You do it because it's your true nature. You do it because it's right. Have no concern with the masses and the public until they act accordingly. Yet is the discontent of the multitude more formidable than that of the Senate and the college. It is easy enough for a firm man who knows the word to brook the rage of the cultivated classes. Their rage is decorous and prudent, for they are timid, as being very vulnerable themselves. But when to their feminine rage the indignation of the people is added, when the ignorant and the poor are aroused, when the unintelligent brute force that lies at the bottom of society is made to growl and mow, it needs the habit of magnanimity and religion to treat it godlike as a trifle of no concernment. The other terror that scares us from self-trust is our consistency, a reverence for our past act or word, because the eyes of others have no other data for computing our orbit than our past acts, and we are loath to disappoint them. But why should you keep your head over your shoulder? Why drag about this corpse of your memory, lest you contradict somewhat you have stated in this or that public place? Suppose you should contradict yourself, what then? I love this. It seems to be a rule of wisdom never to rely on your memory alone, scarcely even in acts of pure memory, but to bring the past for judgment into the thousand-eyed present and live ever in a new day. In your metaphysics you have denied personality to the deity, yet when the devout motions of the soul come, yield to them heart and life, though they should clothe God with shape and color. Leave your theory as Joseph his coat in the hand of the harlot and flee. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds, adored by little statesmen and philosophers and divines. With consistency, a great soul has simply nothing to do. He may as well concern himself with his shadow on the wall. Speak what you think now in hard words, and tomorrow speak what tomorrow thinks in hard words again, though it contradict everything you said today. So you shall be sure to be misunderstood. Is it so bad then to be misunderstood? Pythagoras was misunderstood, and Socrates, and Jesus, and Luther, and Copernicus, and Galileo, and Newton, and every pure, wise spirit that ever took flesh. To be great is to be misunderstood. I'm going to end today with that because I'm sure my battery is going to die. But what he's saying is, don't be afraid to contradict yourself. If you feel something is strong today or true today, speak that. And then tomorrow, if you hear something that is more true, speak that. But I do like that saying that a certain mind is quick to decide and slow to change his mind, because you don't want to be like those with the sour and friendly faces. You don't want to just change with the tides, but you do want to be able to discern and to have an opinion, to form a premise and stand by it and speak it. And if you find a higher truth, you're growing and you're learning. Speak that and profess that. Who cares if people say, well, yesterday you said that you don't like wearing nail polish because it's phony. Well, today I feel like dressing up some. I don't conform to you, and I'm not going to wear the nail polish color that society and TV tells me to wear, but if I feel like wearing it, I'm going to wear it. Stand by your truth, and don't be afraid to change your mind if it's your heart of heart, but don't conform to society and question your moral compass. That's it for today. I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.